What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. All right, moving on to our power ranking. So to give you an idea, I wanted to read this out because it's a classic example of January in the NBA. So last week, our power rankings were Boston at 1, OKC at 2, Minnesota at 3, Clippers at 4, Milwaukee at 5, Philly at 6, Sacramento at 7, Nuggets at 8, the Pacers at 9, and the Pelicans at 10. But it's January in the NBA. So this is what has happened since I put that list together a week ago today. The Celtics just lost to the Pacers without Tyrese Halliburton after beating them with Tyrese 2 days earlier. The Thunder followed up their huge win over Boston with back-to-back losses to the Hawks and the Nets, two teams that have been free-falling over the last month. The Minnesota Timberwolves have lost 3 of their last 4 games. The Los Angeles Clippers just lost to an ice-cold Los Angeles Lakers team. The Bucks have lost 4 out of 5 and just got murdered at home by the Utah Jazz. The 76ers have lost 3 of 4, and they just got murdered at home by the Utah Jazz. The Kings just lost by 33 points at home to the New Orleans Pelicans and lost to Charlotte a few days before that. The Nuggets just lost to an ice-cold Orlando Magic team, and the Pelicans and the Pacers are both playing well, but they both recently just got outclassed by the Clippers and the Celtics. So, we're going to move teams around accordingly on the power rankings list this week because that's the purpose of the list, to kind of, quantify regular season basketball. But we should never read too much into January basketball. It is a confluence of events that lead to a lot of wild swings in effort between teams on a night-to-night basis, which can lead to some weird results. Everyone has been in this grind since early October. So it's like 3+ full months of work. Yet you're not even halfway done. So you can see how that can get fatiguing. The trade deadline is still a month away. So there's no real change on the horizon. Usually when we get to this point, it's not until like the last couple of weeks where you start to see some action. And then all the shit you've accomplished to this point just doesn't matter when the Utah Jazz come into your building and they're young and they're athletic and they're playing their ass off. They don't care how many wins you have. They don't care where you're at in the standings. They're young, they're talented, and they're going to come play hard for 48 minutes. And if you don't, you're going to lose. And you might lose ugly. And it's worse now than ever because there's so much talent in the league. So the point being, we can still learn things during January, but it's probably the month that can most misrepresent what a team is capable of. Like, for instance, a lot of people are jumping off the Bucks and the Lakers right now because they've been playing some god-awful basketball in the last couple of weeks, right? But I mean, be my guest if you want to pick against Dame and Giannis in a playoff series or pick against LeBron James and Anthony Davis in a playoff series. Like, I think both teams are still really good, and they're just stuck in the mud of January NBA basketball. I think the Lakers in particular are desperate for some turnover. I think the Bucks too could use an upgrade, although I know Malik Beasley wants them to stick with what they got. But again, the point is, January in the NBA is weird. So we learn what we can, but we try not to overreact to anything that happens in this particular month. I have 2 teams dropping out from last week. The Sacramento Kings are 5-5 in their last 10. They just got obliterated by the Pelicans at home the other night, lost to Charlotte before that. Just going through a rough patch. So they're off the list for right now. The Pacers I'm taking off. Yes, they're playing amazing basketball. They've won 7 out of 8, but Tyrese Halliburton just strained his hamstring and is going to be out for at least 2 weeks. So I kind of want to just use that spot as an opportunity to shout out another team, as the Pacers will have to play some funky basketball for a few weeks. The Pacers, I fully expect, will make it back onto the list into the future. So number 10, the New York Knicks. They are undefeated, 4-0. Since OG Anunoby joined the team. A 121 offensive rating, which is awesome, and a 103 defensive rating, which is the best in the league over that last 4 games. Quality wins, too. They destroyed the Sixers in Philly, and they also beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. I want to shout out Julius Randle. He's gone for 35+ in 4 of his last 6 games, hooping his ass off. The Knicks have a much more imposing physical profile now with OG in the lineup. They're going to be a hard out when we get to the postseason. Number 9, the Dallas Mavericks. They've won 4 out of 5, including wins over Minnesota and Golden State. Kyrie and Luka were playing so well against Minnesota that even despite them having two of the best perimeter defenders in the league when they're engaged, they were throwing multiple bodies into their two-man game, which was just putting Minnesota into rotation and causing all sorts of problems. Just a testament to how good Kyrie and Luka can be in the half court. But most importantly, the Mavericks are third in defensive rating over their last 10 games. Really encouraging stuff coming out of Dallas that could bode well for the postseason. That's much closer to the Dallas team that we saw from 2 years ago. Number 8, the New Orleans Pelicans took a beating from the Clippers, who are just a better basketball team right now, but they are still playing great ball. They've won each of the other 5 games in their last 6. They bounced back by obliterating the Kings in Sacramento the other night. They're getting super balanced scoring, really high-level pick-and-roll shot creation from CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram, and they have the second best defense in the league over the last 15 games. We have Pelicans at 8. Number 7, the Philadelphia 76ers. During this 1-3 stretch, their offense has completely fallen off of a cliff. They're shooting a league worst 42% from the field in that span and a league worst 26% from 3 over that 4-game span. Embiid has been great, but Tyrese Maxey is in a little bit of a slump that's been a big driving force behind their offense struggling. Number 6, the Milwaukee Bucks. They've lost 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 8. They've been a bottom 5 defense over their last 8 games. Obviously, the point of attack has been a problem. Help in rotation has not been great. They're only 10th in offense over that span. Basically, everyone not named Giannis isn't playing well. I think this team is much, much better than they look right now. They're just a victim of some January basketball, some midseason blues. They have issues, but so does everyone else, and they have a ton of strengths. I think they're going to still be at the top when we get, or near the top when we get to the end of the season. The NBA season is in full swing, and when I can't get enough of the action on the court, I spice things up by betting on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official partner of the NBA. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. I was looking at the lines for making the playoffs today, and you can get the Lakers at plus 115 to make the playoffs, and the Warriors, check this out, at plus 205 to make the playoffs. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with code HOOPS. That's HOOPS. New customers can bet $5 on the NBA and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code HOOPS. That's HOOPS. The crown is yours. Number 5, the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're starting to crack a little bit under their brutal schedule. They've lost 4 out of 7 games. Ironically, it's been their defense that has struggled. They're 12th in defense over that span. I didn't really like their strategy late in the game against Dallas. This is not a defense that has a ton of foot speed, so they really need to keep their perimeter defenders defending actions 1-on-1 and 2-on-2, which means less aggression in terms of bringing their help side defenders out. I think when they get in rotation, their foot speed becomes a little bit of an issue. That's just a little schematic thing. 2 more tough games in this schedule stretch at Orlando and at Boston, and then things will lighten up for them. Number 4, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Their defense has caused the slippage since the Boston win. They were 3rd in defensive rating in December. They are 27th so far in defensive rating through 4 games in January. They are also giving up an offensive rebound on 39.2% of their opponents' misses, which is by far the worst mark of in the league over the course of January so far. That's been a consistent weakness for the Thunder during this season, is their inability to clean up the defensive glass. Number 3, the Denver Nuggets. They dropped a game to Orlando the other day, but it was something crazy like their 9th back-to-back of the season, which is an absolutely brutal schedule when you consider we're less than halfway through an 82-game season. So 18 of their, basically half their games to this point have been in back-to-backs. That's tough. So I still think they're the clear championship favorite at this point. Barring an injury to a starter, I just think they're going to win. Now Peyton Watson has become so good that he's kind of filled that Bruce Brown alternate 5th closer spot really nicely, and I actually think he can be better than Bruce Brown in the long run because he's a bigger, more long athlete, right? Nuggets all the way up at number 3. Number 2, the Los Angeles Clippers. They're basically undefeated with Kawhi in the lineup since November, outside of the Laker game on Sunday. And the Lakers are a much better team than their record shows, and the Lakers were at home, and they were super desperate. So that's a tough game to win under any circumstances. They came back the next night and just completely outclassed the Phoenix Suns. I'm going to add them to my championship contender list. It's just a question of where, and I'm going to do it after the Minnesota-Oklahoma City game. So we'll do like a championship contender update episode when we get closer to that point. And then lastly, I think they've been here 3-4 weeks in a row now, the Boston Celtics. They lost a weird game to the Pacers last night after Tyrese Haliburton left the game, but they did just literally outclass the Pacers with Tyrese Haliburton in the lineup 2 nights earlier, so just kind of weird January basketball stuff. Tatum's pull-up jump shot is red hot, and the Celtics offense is insane right now. 128 offensive rating in their last 10 games. That's a full 2.1 points ahead of the number 2 spot over that span.